full of insights. And I do hope that you, your family, your near ones and dear ones are all safe and secure. Today's topic is very interesting. They say that data is oil, but I may add, if data is oil, then the refinery is business analytics. You see, you really analyze data, only then it is of some use. And in today's times, this data is being analyzed across different domains, and related research which is happening is in various sectors. Some of the sectors which will be covered today include omni-channels, social media, healthcare, digital, IT, supply chains, sustainability, and humanitarian operations. And I'm very, very happy to say that we have the most eligible person to talk about this topic. He is known globally across for his research in this area, and he is quoted very liberally by various media sites such as NBC, CBS, Fox, and so on. So yes, I am very happy to introduce Professor Subodh Kumar. He is the Paul R. Anderson Distinguished Chair Professor of Marketing and Supply Chain Management at the Fox School of Business at Temple University at Philadelphia. He is also a faculty at the University of Washington and Texas A&M University, and a visiting faculty at ISB. He has been teaching the postgraduate program at ISB, and I am also proud to say that he teaches the advanced management program for manufacturing and operations for a long time. And before the professor ends his talk, we will have a very short conversation on what he teaches at AMPMO and how it makes a difference. And his list of achievements is endless. He is a POMS fellow since 2019, and he has been a conference chair for POMS 2018. By the way, for people who don't know, POMS is Production and Operations Management Society, a most elite and well-known society globally again in areas of operations management. He has written several papers of repute, and he has authored a number of case studies for the Harvard Business School and Ivy. If you come, to this school, you will, I'm quite confident, find some papers, something which has been written. He has left his imprint everywhere so far, and he has also a robotic patent. So I think Professor Subodh is one of those people who actually need no introduction, but I did have to give it for the sake of, I have to give an introduction. So the topic today being emerging business analytic issues across different domains and related research directions. So I request you, Professor, to take on and give us your insights.
Well, thank you, Colonel Bhargav, for a very generous introduction. I'm really delighted to be here. I hope you all can see me, hear me, and see my screen. At any point, if there's any problem, please alert me. I'm really proud to be associated with ISB. I have long association with ISB since 2010. I have, as I call myself, that I am a 12th man at ISB. I've taught in almost all the programs and variety of courses. And actually in AMPMO program, I've been teaching from the very first batch, if I understand correctly. And but I teach in the business analytics program, and of course the PGP program, which is the MBA program. But more importantly, I also get involved in several research projects with several faculty and as well as students at ISB. So I'll start my talk. You can always go to my website and know more about me. Feel free to write me. What I'm planning to do, I will actually take questions as we go. I have kept my chat open on another screen. So if you have any questions, please go ahead, and I'll try to answer as we go. so that we are on right pace. And as Colonel Vargo told, I have been at Seattle and A&M, and currently I'm in Temple. Uh, I will try to focus a lot on different areas, but at the same time, there are a lot of things going on with COVID-19 research. I will touch on that. I'll not go too much into that. I'll not give overdose of COVID-19, but I'll try to give a broad overview. So, in terms of business analytics, how I perceive it and how my research, a lot of current research in the area is going right now. And I will be talking from perspective of both author as well as an editor. We see research at the domain of data analytics and decision analytics, and both are very important in this domain, because data analytics essentially looks at different kind of predictive models, machine learning, econometric models, and the decision analytics models basically say that once we understand the data, how do we make business decisions out of it, right? Because that's the end goal. Many times we get stuck with the whole understanding the data, analyzing the data, but that is usually not the end goal. Usually the end goal is that once I understand the data, how do I make better decisions? For example, in the case of COVID-19, we are collecting a lot of data now. But let's say I understand all of these things, what happened to this phenomena of digital transformation during COVID-19. But what do I do with that data? Eventually, I have to have some business goal that I need to solve. And that's what I'm going to do in next 45, 50 minutes in my talk. So that I will walk you through different domains and try to see that you take the data, analyze it, and get the business value out of it. There are couple of pieces here that I would like to first point out, and you can find everything from my website, by the way, and you can download these papers. If you cannot find any of the papers, please feel free to write to me. I'll be more than happy to share this work with you. I've written 2 editorials recently talking about where is the future roadmap of big data. And I have taken in different domain in these ones, and I'm writing a couple more actually right now, which should come in print very soon. But here I have focused on operations management, information systems, healthcare. But a lot of these areas actually touch on many broad areas. And as I told, the best way to know about my work, go to my website. I have put these links here if you want to have it. But if you go to my main site, or if you click on this QR code, you can right away reach to my website and you can find all the information. So not very
Yes, sir.
difficult to find. I have a weird name. Actually, I have an A in my name, which is not usual, as many of you have noticed in my first name. And that makes it a little easier to find me. So if you type by my first and last name, you will always go to my website. So having
Okay,
unusual
sir.
name is always bad. Yeah.
Can you share your screen? I think the PPT is not visible.
PPT is not visible. Okay. No, many people are saying they can't. Why is that happening? It was working earlier, right? Colonel Vargo, can you see my screen
Yeah.
or no?
No. We can't see. I thought you were not yet. You were wishing to start a bit, show your screen a bit later. Yeah,
Oh,
you can try and show, sir.
So you can retry. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
something is.
it's coming now. It's there. Thank you.
oh, sorry about that. Okay, so I'll very quickly go again. I think I was under the impression it's getting shared. So this is my QR code and the link, as you can see, um, and I hope it is visible to everybody. And actually, I will. I promised I'll look at the chat button, and now I see there are a lot of comments about slide not being so. Okay, so yeah, as I told you, and I have already gone through this. One thing that I forgot to mention, we have recently started a new practitioner journal called Management and Business Review, and it is just at mbrjournal.com. I would strongly recommend you guys to go there, because this is one place where we are trying to bridge the gap between academia and industry. And Forbes had an article about us talking about that this is the first time since 1922 of the start of HBR, there's a serious threat. But the question is not about threat. We had wanted to have another channel where everybody can share. So I forgot to mention last time, so I'll add that. Other than that, those who did not see my slide, I was talking about this slide earlier, business analytics. I'll not go over again. And these are the articles I put here. As I told, you can always go to my website and you can find all the links. The best is that just type my first name and last name, as I told, you can find me. Okay. Now, and also, I will be referring to this book particularly, which I had written a couple of years back, and some of my book chapters I have put here. But mostly I'll be referring to a lot of my research papers. I just wanted to put it out all here. Um, and yeah, I see some question Rupendra is asking about platform economy. I'll touch on that, Rupendra. I'll touch in different domain. I know that's a broad area, but I'll touch about some of the work and then we can take it offline, Rupendra, on that. But I'll certainly keep that in mind as I go along. So I will touch on that. It is a little different list from what I had given earlier. I have merged some of the list and I wanted to focus a little bit more on the blockchain and disruptive technologies, mostly in the domain what I had talked earlier. Um, Now, I have to thank many of my co-authors, and most of them are doctoral students who made all my work happen. You know, that's where the innovation comes from these young people. So I'm not going to point out each of them in every paper, but my thanks in advance. And no way I'm claiming that's all my work. Is a collaborative work with a lot of them. I see some questions are coming about AI, ML, data analytics, and all. I'll try to answer some of them. That will go into my class lecture mostly if I go there. But the Vikram, the idea is that the anywhere where you're using some kind of giving brain to machine is artificial intelligence, and the machine learning is that where machine can continuously get feed to more data and learn more about the data. Data analytics come at different aspect of AI and machine learning. Data analytics simply means you take the data and try to make some meaning out of data. That simply is data analytics. And there, of course, I can define it 20 different ways, but that's in my mind, the most accurate way to present data analytics. And decision analytics, which many people refer to as prescriptive analytics, is once I understand the data, how do I make business value out of it? And let me give you one simple example, Vikram, to differentiate. So let's say that I'm looking at my grocery store and I look at my data and I find out that, okay, this many more items have been out of stock in last few years or last few months because of COVID-19. But now, once I understand the pattern, how do I decide my inventory policy going forward? How do I plan for any kind of disruptions in the future? That is decision analytics. So any optimization issues are decision analytics, and anything dealing with data is data analytics. And this slide, I tried to put that. I think I went pretty fast second time. So any data analytics is any kind of predictive model, econometric models, machine learning, and decision analytics is more like game theoretic model, dynamic optimization, and those kinds. So I hope I answered that. Um, so now let's go to each of these topics. And the very first idea is to understand what is happening with the blockchain. This itself is a large area, and I deliberately have not gone into the lecture mode on explaining what blockchain is. We can have a separate discussion on that. I can go 3-4 hours on that. I teach a whole course in PGP dedicated to disruptive technology. So of course we can go for 20 hours on that. But broadly, the blockchain is trying to connect pieces together, and also they give more visibility. It's hard to alter, and you capture a lot of almost all the information in the process. That's the basic idea. Now, we see a lot of action going on even before COVID-19. So one was that Walmart requiring all the lettuce and spinach supplier to join blockchain. And they had a deadline, actually September 30th of 2019, which changed a little bit. Now, one area where a lot of work was going on in last 2 years was in pharmacy. And actually that comes very timely right now with the COVID-19 vaccine coming into play. And nearly half of the healthcare companies report that they are developing some kind of blockchain solution. Now, this was all before COVID-19. Of course, things have changed a little bit because of that. Some have expedited, some have slowed down because of that. And here the idea is that all the members of the supply chain would be involved, and they can gain access to the data wherever needed. Now, using blockchain in the supply chain also reduce the risk of fraudulent drugs, this is a huge problem throughout the world, including the US. Actually, US has got the big chunk of fraudulent drugs in the system, which they're trying to clean it up now. FDA is working on that, but that has been a problem. And blockchain technology certainly is an answer, because as I told, it's hard to counterfeit the data in blockchain. So that really makes it easier. Another place, automotive suppliers have gone into blockchain payment. This has happened in India too. I work with multiple startups in India in this domain. Actually, I have been working actively with them. Some of them have gone very far. One of them actually is from the alums of AMPMO program, which is the company is called Inside Z. So you should look at their website. I have been in their advisory board since the start of the company. They have been around 3 years now, and they have been doing phenomenally well in last year or so. So we see a lot of companies coming out of ISP programs actually, and I have been working with several of them. Some of them are involved in the supplier payment side using blockchain. And meat traceability is another place where blockchain happened. Walmart in China, they implemented this meat traceability issues. Now, this is all happened before COVID-19, by the way. So don't think that it is because of COVID-19, not at all. This initiative is going on since 2017 or so. And this was designed because there was a problem. They realized there is a problem in the system. And we saw the big problem eventually. Cold chain monitoring is another example where a lot of food and pharmaceutical products have specialized storage need. There are sensors which are implementing blockchain-based solution. It's very interesting to see that a lot of blockchain implementation have expedited, because people realize that if they had it on time, then a lot of problems would be solved. We didn't have shortage of toilet papers, or we could have all the healthcare supply chain much better. And it deals with a smart contract. I will not go too much detail onto that. But smart contract is something which automates many of the processes in the system or in the supply chain. For example, it could extend the use by dates if there is something wrong with the process. So what is happening on the research domain? A lot of work is happening right now, but one of the biggest questions that is being asked is that, how can I improve the performance of these blockchains? Now, if you know about blockchain, the whole idea of blockchain goes back to the idea of Bitcoin, where it all blockchain system, and that's the first tested blockchain-based system that we have seen. So the best place to begin is to understand how this Bitcoin-based system or this blockchain has changed over time and what has been the impact of that. Again, when I say blockchain, I'm not at all restricting ourselves to Bitcoin-based system. I'm talking about mostly private blockchain, which are being implemented by companies. But in order to understand, we had to go back to Bitcoin-based system, because that's where we have all the data. And that has been now there for more than 10 years. So the very first work that we started was we started looking at the Bitcoin scaling solution. Okay. So Alok is asking, how do I ensure the initial point of data entry in the blockchain system is correct? That's where if you go to the key essence of blockchain, almost all of the data should come from sensors, not from somebody feeding it, right? So it has to come from reliable sources. So let's say you're starting for banking system or land registry. So the very first data should come from some kind of land registry system. If you don't have that system in place, then the whole implementation becomes questionable. So in order to have a good blockchain, we first need to have an electronic system and sensors at different points where the data is taken from, rather than somebody manually entering the data. So that's how we are trying to do for most of the blockchains right now, that data is captured at the source by the system. So in the meat processing, for example, the data is given by the sensors to the system, that how the processing is being done, rather than somebody entering how they did it. So that's the one simple answer to that. When you go to implementation, depending on the system, it can become complex, but many times, or most of the times, I will say it is doable. That part is not that much of a problem. Like if you want to implement it for the grading system, let's say, we already have a grading, online grading things in place, right? So that can take care of it. So going back to this problem actually is a joint work with a doctoral student who was a PGP student at ISB, I believe 5 years back, 5 or 6 years back. And now he's a doctoral student at UT Dallas. Let me give you a brief overview of what we are trying to do here. So in a blockchain, a transaction is initiated by the sender. Now, sender could be a service provider in the blockchain, which could be like provide you some wallet-based service. Again, I don't want to go too technical. I'll leave it for another time. Or it could be a customer. And Meher is asking, so there are two questions here. Pratyush is asking how blockchain is applicable for plant operations. Any operations, and Pratyush, it will go to the plant operation as well, is that you, as soon as the process start in the system, the sensors start capturing data, and anybody can see that data with proper access. That's the basic idea. And what happens if sensors fail? Sorry, somebody is asking that question. And yes, Narhari, if sensors fail, it is a problem. We need to have a good backup system. But if you have a multiple data collection point, so even if we miss one or two, we still have enough data. That's what most of the blockchains are doing. So initial cost will be high, but overall we will reduce a lot of cost. Meher is asking, in the Indian agriculture, what is the biggest roadblock we see in the blockchain? First of all, in any blockchain implementation, you will see the real value when all the stakeholders participate in that, as well as policymakers participate into that. Now, for example, Telangana government has signed one MOU for land registry. It has to come from the top down. Otherwise, blockchains are not going to get implemented. So it has to be a top-down approach, but you have to take all the stakeholders. So that's the biggest challenge right now, how to involve all the stakeholders and put enough incentive for each of them to participate. Technology is out there, so I will not say technology is a big problem. Now let me go to this project. I hope I'm answering all the questions. I'm trying to keep a good track. Ajit is asking, very limited papers on blockchain modeling. Ajit, there are very few papers, but a lot of papers are coming. At POM, we started a new department, as you may be aware of that, and I'm running a special issue right now. And the special issue, we have got around 80 papers. I will say 40 or so are modeling papers. Unfortunately, most of them are like an old model, just people call it blockchain. That's not going to work. But we are going to see a lot of modeling papers, and I'm going to talk about some of that today, Ajit. So we are in the stage where internet was in 93, 94. Let's put it this way. And there's a nice video of Bill Gates trying to explain internet to David Letterman in 95. And interestingly, he could not explain it to David Letterman. That's where we are in the blockchain. We are all trying to understand. But if everything works out okay, it will be bigger than what internet did to us. So that's why I'm spending a good amount of time on that. So we are going to see a lot of work, Ajit, and you can drop me an email and I can certainly send you some of this work. So, service providers send some request or customers, and the miners, again, this gets into a little bit technical, but miners will mine something and they will get, then the block will be created, okay? As I told, without going into technical, that much I can say, but there's always a delay in the process. And if you try to understand the system, there is always a memory pool which takes the request from customers and service provider, and both can initiate the blockchain request. Customer is somebody who's using the system. Service providers are the service providers in the blockchain system, like who manage the wallet and so on. And there is always some delay before the block is created in the system. Now, what they did in late 2017 is that they proposed the idea that there is a signature involved in blocks. They say that why don't we take it out? And the reason was that that will make the blocks can fit then more data, because then the signature was taking a space in the block which is created in the blockchain. So blocks will have more space. It will become faster to validate, as well as it can contain more data. So it's a good starting point to see, is it a good idea to make this kind of changes in the blockchain? And that's what we are trying to do that. So we have collected all of this information in blockchain, and you can collect a lot of data. I've given you one snapshot from blockchain.com, which is one of the places where you can collect all this data. You can see this open data, actually. Many people don't realize. And this, you can go to like what is in the block, what kind of input is there, output is there. Everybody is identified by their ID, and all of that information is there. We have collected data from 29 prominent service providers. For a long time, we have data for several years now. And our transactions cover approximately $1.13 trillion transactions data. Now, without going into too much detail, because I'm trying to cover many bases here in the limited time, what we find is that, just in summary, that this is actually average fee that the miners get and the cost of blockchain really. This is when SegWit was implemented by the firms. It started in late 2017, but actual implementation happened in 2018. And still many of the users didn't move to the SegWit or this change, what I was talking, changing the block, the signature out of the block. But what we find is that average fee decreases for some, but actually increases for some other. That was the one thing we found out. And even delay, that was the one big reason why we all had, because scalability in blockchain is a big problem, actually went up in many cases. So it has a lot of implications for how blockchain should be designed, and that's what we are trying to get out of it. This paper is under review. It's in the advanced round right now. So hopefully we will have a print issue on that pretty soon. Now, Ajit, going to your point, you're asking, are there any modeling papers? So this is a paper which is in advanced round in one of our top IS journals, ISR, which is a modeling paper actually. So here we have worked with some ad firms, and let me give you an idea that the digital advertising is a big area where blockchain is being implemented right now. And the reason why we have this in the blockchain area, the digital advertising area, because it's a huge growth in that. By 2024, around $275 billion will go in online advertising. So it's a huge market. But there are problems. There are a lot of ad fraud. What do I mean by ad fraud? That there will be fraud clicks, and then advertisers have to still pay for that. Okay? And it's a big problem even still right now. More than 40% of traffic, which costs advertisers $16 billion annually. This is one of the recent survey talks about from ad fraud. So big number we are talking here. There are middlemen, a lot of middlemen. In fact, some of the middlemen I worked with for several of my projects, but they are I can see they are eating up a lot of part of the money. They, eventually 30% goes to the end of the publishers who are showing the ad, and they're delayed payment. There are a lot of delay in the process. I forgot to mention, this project is with a doctoral student from Tsinghua University in China, which is one of the top universities in China. I advise several doctoral students there. So there are many blockchain service providers have come into play. Patanjal is asking, how can we use game theory? So this is a game theoretic model, Patanjal, what I'm showing right now. We are using a non-cooperative game here because in this case, everybody is trying to optimize their own value. There are cooperative game theory problems also coming into that, because some places they are trying to cooperate with each other. And in those kind of situations, the cooperative game theory will be applicable. So think about wherever the two players are trying to work together to find a solution which works better for both of them. That's where you go for cooperative game theory. But in most of the cases, that's not the situation. They're different player and they optimize their own thing. So like in this paper, we have a non-cooperative game theory. So these companies are the real companies who are in this domain right now. And Toyota is using blockchain to reduce fraud in digital advertising. And a lot of their ads have gone on blockchain right now. Question here we are asking is that when advertisers go to blockchain, yes, the click fraud is gone, but they have a blockchain fee, which is a negative side. As I showed earlier, there's always a blockchain fee. On the publisher side, publisher here is somebody who's showing the ad, any website which is showing the ad. Uh, they they don't have middlemen, so they get all the money eventually from advertiser. But then they have no room for manipulation, you will say, well, that's a good thing, but not from the publisher side. Some of them were able to manipulate, even though it's wrong, they were able to do that. So we have in this research we have answered several questions like how should the publisher decide to give high spot to blockchain based advertisers or not blockchain based advertisers, adopt blockchain or stay in traditional channel, and what are the different equilibria. Again, it's a non-cooperative game that we have solved here because they are all trying to do their own things. Okay, I'll take a little pause. Any questions until this point before I go into the next project? And I'll talk about on other disruptive technology. I'll get out of blockchain for a minute. I don't want to spend the whole hour on blockchain. But keep asking questions, okay? And you can always bug me later too. Now I'll go into two projects which are very close to my heart, which is started by my collaboration with real doctors. And this is one company which is based in Philadelphia, and it has a branch in India as well. We are doing a lot of implementation in India. And these two projects that I'm talking here, it is done by ISB students actually. So I have used as capstone project in different AMPO, AMPMO program, or AMP program, sorry. I get confused with all the names, Colonel Bargo, sorry. Advanced management programs at ISB. These two projects actually, as I told you, I've used them as capstone project. We work with QuantLeap Consulting LLP, who has a medical device, and we have implementing that. This both project got the Successive Best Project Award last year and last two batches actually in Advanced Management Program in Business Analytics. So let me talk very briefly what we have done till now. In fact, we have written several grants on that we are working right now. And several students are still continuing to work on that, even after they graduated from ISB. So the first project was about diabetic foot disease. So this is a global problem, the diabetic in leg healing. And there was one company that we started working with, Leg Healers LLC. It's a global problem. A lot of people have this issue, and the direct medical cost is a huge bunch, and the cost associated with diabetic foot care is around $17 billion. It's estimated to be very soon. And there are increased amputation and so on. Now, this problem is not a new problem, but it has gone worse. And now with the data, we clearly have the potential. So what we did in this project is that we took the actual thermal images of different legs, which are healthy legs and unhealthy legs. And then we applied, first we started with different basic statistical tools. And we did all kind of statistical analysis. Then we ran some simulations. We went into data mining part there, where we use a lot of different machine learning tools. Then we got deeper into deep learning and IoT. And then finally, we have created, or the students have created data visualization. I would like to take as little credit for any of these things. I think I know very little, but I know how these things work. And there are a lot of smart students out there who make this happen. So in this project, as I told, we take all these images of foot care. We have process to do that. We have now device. We have taken these images, we have created edges, we have done segmentation, and this project was specifically what I'm talking was done by ISB students. Then we do a lot of denoising filters there. And finally, we have used different hierarchical clustering methods that I use in many of my projects, not just in healthcare domain. And then, very neatly, by you taking these thermal images, you can change to these numbers. And finally, we use the deep learning approach for proactive food care classification. I'll get into how we are using it actually. So these things are getting implemented. These are not just in theory. So we use deep learning neural network model with 3 hidden layers, and accuracy has been more than 90% on that. So we are using it for patient identification, that how we can identify um, uh, on on different kind of disease. So when they come, can we identify that what kind of patient had disease, then assess that how severe is the disease without any intrusive process, just looking at, just analyzing the thermal images, and then what can we do proactively, and all of this is done just based on the thermal images of the thing. Now we have collaborated with some other doctors in University of Maryland, and we are trying to use this in the machines we already had. It is being tested in different hospitals in India, and we are trying to do it in other countries as well. As I told this, there's one more project which is on pulse wave analytics. In this one, this is also done with the ISB student. Here we are trying to develop a proprietary device to capture pulse at very high frequency and high sampling rate that lead to predictive modeling. That's what we have done here. Again, we have used time series analysis here, predictive modeling, applied ML, and statistical analysis. Just to give you some idea, this is, again, these are like really fascinates me, because we can solve some big problems in the world right now using that. We have some big plans for this pulse based method. We are trying to develop applications in cardiopathy and improving the medical supervision of a cardiac patient. We have also partly done it for hyperbaric chamber, which is used in some of the COVID-19 patients as well. So we have done that. This is a project we are doing with partly with Johns Hopkins and University of Maryland Medical Center, and also Temple is of course involved, and this company QuantLip is part of that. So this is a joint product with many different, and ISB is certainly part of this project. So again, I will change the gear a little bit. I have talked about different domain, and I'll go more into healthcare because that's the one area where a lot of action is going to happen very soon. All this shared economy. Now, in the interest of time, I'll not get into that. And there was some interest in game theoretic model. I realized that there will be. In this one, we basically try to see how these companies like Uber and Lyft, which is totally disrupting the industry right now, or already disrupted rather, how they can compete and how they can do the search pricing. I've taken Uber and Lyft because that's in the US, but in India it's Uber and Ola. You can think the same thing. So there are a lot of issues with the drivers availability and the demand side. In the demand side, the prices keep changing. There are wait times, and you can see all of those things in the app. So we are looking at different research questions. This project is my own doctoral student at Temple. She's now in 4th year. This is her dissertation work, which so that how they should change dynamically price, what they can do to incentivize drivers and so on. And one last thing I will mention, I will not so much on that. Another area where a lot of action is going on is on maintenance service market in manufacturing industry. So a lot of manufacturers like Boeing and all, they are going on industrial IoT based platform for maintenance services. And sometimes it competes with other maintenance service providers. So for example, Apple can say that I have an industrial IoT based platform. I'm just taking Apple as example, although it is mostly designed for large manufacturers like Boeing and Toyota. Or they can say that I give the facility to third party who can do that. So they should cooperate here, or they should have their own. And now here you can use cooperative game theory to see if they cooperate, then how they will solve it. Very fascinating problem. Here we have collaborated with a large manufacturer. This paper is almost done and ready to be submitted. This is some of my collaborators from China. Now I will totally switch gear and go to social media analytics, and I will go a little faster on some of these projects. I want to give a broad overview of some of these to stay in interest of time. I know Colonel Bhargav has some interesting things to talk before we stop here, but keep questions coming as you may have. Uh, Patanjali is asking analytical modeling of supply chain resilience. How can you measure the resilience of the supply chain? You can measure it in many ways, Patanjali. In fact, I have a paper right now working on the supply chain resilience. We have collected data for COVID-19 and how supply chain has done. You can measure it by the level of disruption that happened with any shock in the system, how much stock out your system had, how many times you had extra inventory, how many times where the breakdown in the supply chain happened. All of this can define your resilience of the system. So supply chain resilience is basically deals with how I can define how supply chain react to different kind of shocks. So you can collect data about that. You can define those parameters and variables, and you can use that in the model. You can certainly send me an email and I can send you more material on that. But that's how we define supply chain resilience in an analytical modeling. So in social media analytics, one of the my early work was with Indian data, which is now forthcoming again in ISR. Let me very quickly talk about. We collected the data with a faculty from IIM Bangalore and with a consulting company in Bangalore. And what we did was that we were trying to look at in 2014 general election. I know we have gone into now next general election too, and we have data on that too. But this one was, everything takes time to get published and all. We looked at the sentiment, how sentiment affect the social media engagement, and what is the spillover effect between individual tweets and the related brand like parties. So we collected data from December 1st, 2013 to May 2014. We extracted around 22.8 million tweets that discussed Indian election. There are a lot of unique users, and we focused on somebody official tweet handle, like they are either party member or the candidates or the party itself. And we looked at the negative tone tweet. These are actual tweets, all positive tone tweets. And I always put this question in my class that, in 2014 election, the most mentioned name in all the tweets was Narendra Modi, of course. But the second highest was not Rahul Gandhi. And I will leave that. Maybe you can search more on that. We have written this paper. This is a published paper. There's a question: how can this technology be adopted by Indian MSME companies by improving efficiency? Lot is happening on Indian MSME companies right now. Lot have already implemented. As I told, Inside Z company, which is one of the graduates from AMPMO program. That company actually implemented for several of them. So if you go to the insidezz.com, insidezz.com, you will see actual videos of implementations. And there is a lot of resistance, I agree, but there is a lot of difference as well. Rashmi is again asking difference between data analytics and decision analytics. I will explain one more time. Rashmi, data analytics is you take data and understand it. Decision analytics is once I understand the data, how do I make business value out of it? For example, I give you Uber example. I take all the traffic data and understand how the traffic is going up, down, how drivers are coming and so on in a given area. That is data analytics. Now, how do I adjust my prices in the future based on those data is decision analytics. As simple as that. I hope I have answered that question. Now, now in sentiment analysis of these tweets, the interesting part or good and bad thing is that in tweet we have a lot of data, but there's a lot of junk data. So you have to clean this up. So we use different sentiment methodology here, and we stick to naive Bayes because that worked out good, and do the econometric model. Again, you can refer to my paper for more details. I'll not get into the details here. Another area where a lot of work is going on right now, Vikram is asking, what is your opinion, Sanskrit being considered for programming language in future? Yes, Sanskrit is being considered in machine learning because of its scientific nature, but you have to understand that there are many other languages who are either parallel to Sanskrit or derived from Sanskrit, so which are more commonly used. So they are looking at that as well. But yeah, it is going from all different direction. In that is one series of work which is going on, and I feel that is a right direction. We can get something good out of that. So another area is where about how to identify fake reviewers. So a lot of my work is on fake reviewers rather than fake reviews. And we have published 2 papers on supervised learning method. These are technical papers. I'll not get into details. You can always go and read them. What I am interested in that is a strategic question. Why firms like Amazon are not able to block all fake reviews? We have very good algorithms, by the way, and we think Amazon knows everything. So why not they fix it? And there has been a lot of debate on that. A lot of fake reviews still are there on Yelp, Zomato, Amazon, everywhere, right? There's a lot of data on that. And the companies are buying these fake reviews. So the question is that why there is no filtering algorithm? There are a lot of penalty going on there. There are court actions, companies are doing penalty, but still sellers do fake reviews. It's a big challenge. And if you look at the recent articles, everywhere you will see that it's a big problem. And people have read fake reviews. Why Amazon is not fixing? So we try to look at in this. This is another dissertation of a doctoral student. There we do game theoretic model to see based on some data that why sellers manipulate, uh, when should they manipulate, how much they should manipulate, and uh, does it hurt Amazon? We interestingly find that in some cases actually it benefits Amazon, not filtering some of the fake reviews. And that is one of the big reasons why they are not so hard. That's where policymakers have to come in play. And we have a lot of suggestions for policymakers. So sometimes it's not best strategy for them to have the most accurate algorithm for filtering fake reviews. And then another thing going on in social media is trademarking hashtag. Companies can now trademark their hashtag. So we have investigated a lot on that, and I have written a lot of practitioner piece on that as well. And another thing is that these days, and this is mostly happening in China, that when you're buying online, they will give you a code which you can share on your WhatsApp account. There it's the WeChat in China. And in 30 minutes, if somebody uses that code, then you get discount based on how many people use the code. So we have collaborated with a company like that, and we have run a lot of experiment on that. Um, and then we have taken, so this is data analytics. Now, Rashmi, going back to your point, we take all those things and we do decision analytics. And let me give you one quick example. So this example is that we just published recently is how to identify influencer marketer. What is an influencer? Influencer is somebody who have a lot of followers in an area. Like in data analytics, some guy may have a lot of followers, or if it could be a celebrity or non-celebrity, but a lot of followers. So how do I identify these followers so that you maximize your reach? Like you may have just one follower, but that follower is followed by Obama, right? So you can try to identify influencers using decision analytics. So we write optimization models looking at both broadcast and virality, and we combine that to write optimization model using all this data that I showed here to find the optimal set of influencers. Okay, so that's the idea. Now I'll answer one question here. TripAdvisor by and large has been successful. Yes, Yelp has also been successful. That's what I'm trying to say. The algorithm is not that big a problem, but some of the websites have been strategically not very strict in implementing those algorithms. And there is a strategic reason behind that. Because sometimes if Amazon is making more money out of some of the fake reviews, not a lot of fake reviews, some, then they will not filter all of that. That is the thing. If TripAdvisor is not benefiting from fake reviews, yes, they will do that. So in some cases, we show it is a good idea to filter out all of them. In some cases, it is not. Algorithm we have to filter fake reviews. I don't think we are. Another idea, and I will skip this one. This is happening right now in many countries, that you do some kind of work to get cash back for your money, because as I told, I'll skip a lot of these things. I wanted to talk quickly about a couple more projects, and then I will stop and give the desk to Colonel Varga so that we are on time. This project we did on Practo. Practo, as many of you may know, is a large setup in India. And digital healthcare in India right now, there's a lot of interest in online healthcare because of COVID-19 situation. National Health ID, we are working with one of the startup who work in telemedicine in ICU, and we are already in advanced stage. And actually, this project is with collaboration with ISB. Actually, as company is based in Bangalore. Um, and Rupendra, yes, drop me an email, Rupendra, subodha@temple.edu, or type my name, you will find. I'll be more than happy to share my paper. Anybody interested in any of the papers, just go to my website or send me an email. Uh, but there are a lot of challenges in India. One of the things is that we don't have a good healthcare data, good IT system, and many other things. So there are a lot of co-optation going on right here, and some of these companies have been working more actively in India. In this first project, which is a published paper now, which came last year, we looked at what is the impact of Q&A feature. We ran a natural experiment that when a Q&A feature was started, what is the impact of question and answer feature on the positive reviews of doctors, and what is the spillover effect on other doctors. And we have used a difference in difference method and propensity score matching method. And we provide a lot of insight about signaling and so on in online healthcare. I have extended this study to China online healthcare, and we have one paper written on that. And most recently, this is the work which I'm very excited about. This is the work with University of Washington Medical School. And as you might be reading about it, they are on the forefront of this all healthcare data. In fact, they approached us, my center, that can we collaborate on doing this, the impact of COVID-19 on telemedicine effectiveness. This is, I will say, 70% done. It's not fully done. But we find some interesting result. Again, I'll go a little fast on that. This paper I cannot share right now, but in a month or so, I should be able to share. What we find is that telemedicine has actually gone worse in some cases, especially for elderly people. And when we found that result, sorry, I have to go a little fast in the interest of time. But there are a lot of thing going on in this data. So we have data before and after COVID-19. We have with and without telemedicine. And what we find is that the older people have got hurt the most in the whole idea of moving to telemedicine. And for them, telemedicine has actually gone worse. Okay. So we looked at the quantity perspective, quality perspective, and what has been the impact of COVID-19 on whole telemedicine. Because that is one area. And our goal here is to provide the different recommendation on how the telemedicine should be designed going forward for this healthcare. I'll skip certainly this healthcare information exchange. There are a lot of action going on omni-channel retailing also, and you can go in more detail, but here the idea is that I look at the showrooming issues, how firms can design their online and offline, again using a lot of machine learning method and so on. And this is one of my NBC interviews where I talk in detail about some of these issues. Digital advertising, I have been working for longest actually. This was my PhD dissertation in '98 before Google came. So a lot of my work, and I have some, I've also written this book on that lately. But this is one company that we work with, how to show or when to show the ad rather than how to show the ad. And this is a company we work with called Sidewalk, which was earlier called Chitika, based on Boston. And we have used the combination of data and decision analytics. So when a visitor comes, we use a logic model to find a click probability. Then we have an optimization model to see when to show ad and when not to show ad. So this is a classic example of data analytics where prediction happened and then optimization happened in decision analytics. So those who are still confused, I think this is the place where you can see all of those things. And last part, I wanted to talk about sustainable operation, because I think this is something where we can utilize big data very efficiently. And I'll quickly stop with that. This is one project we did with China government. Actually, they had given it this project on people counterfeit the safety data in a lot of factories in China. So what we did was that we collected all this data, or they gave us this data, and this was paper we have already published. It is with a person from China government. We have created a tool that can measure the fidelity of reported data, and we have created a new method actually here to do that. And we have used different kind of contamination, and eventually we use feature engineering, and we created positive and unlabeled learning, which is very uncommon in practice actually. So this was one of the first implementation, and we did field test. And the second one, we are working with a company, or we are working on an industry related project on when companies should create their own platform for the second-hand market, or when they should just buy them and sell to the user. So both of these models, and this is based on a company called Patagonia, who is big into um, sustainability. And what we really show here is that there are many cases and where by using sustainable operations, actually what you see, the tree shows that it is sustainably, environmentally better solution, and money shows that it is better for the firm. So we say that in many scenarios, it can both, you can improve your profit as well as you can improve the environment. And that's where we should try to move. All the policymakers should be looking at this kind of solutions where the companies are better off as well as environment is better off. And we have those solutions thanks to all the new machine learning based method and all the decision models. Okay. So as I promised, I'll give you enough time to work on that. Thank you very much. I know it was very fast paced, but I'll be happy to take this discussion forward in future if you have. And I'll give it to Colonel Bhargav. If you have any questions, I'll keep in chat. I'll keep responding to that.
Thank you, Professor. I think this has been 50 minutes, which really passed very fast. And it was these were amazing insights. And now we know as to why data and decision analytics is considered to be so glamorous. Frankly, because you are addressing so many issues in a very unique way, which has never been addressed like before. And we are so happy to note that there is a lot of whatever cutting edge research that you are doing, there is a lot of contribution of ISB in that and the EMP programs for that matter. Especially if I can see that there is a lot of work which you are doing in blockchain, then as far as diabetic foot, disease prediction, social media analytics, Indian general elections, online marketplaces. I don't know where do you really get the time to work on all of these together. I'm sure there is some sort of algorithm which you have got for yourself as to how you can work that out. And we are really proud that you have been associated with the Advanced Management Program for Manufacturing and Operations ever since the program came into vogue. And you have been covering a lot of about, taking the people through the basics of managerial statistics, and then on to how to do decision analytics and how to use data for making decisions for their companies. So, I'll just request you to take just 1 minute, if you can say, how do you tackle this issue? Because people who come are not really that, well versed in statistics and other things. But by the time they finish this module, they speak in statistical terms. So how do you make that happen?
So what happens is that, we start in this program, and most of the programs at ISB, the knowledge you come in with almost zero. We require the basic math you should know. So we start from the very basic statistical thing. This is not a course on statistics. This is a course on how to apply statistics for business problems. So keep that in mind. None of us are a statistician. So we take that approach. We start from the very basic idea, take the business problem and apply that. And then we progress in that way. So at every stage you see how it is applied. I say in my class always that at any point of time, even for 5 minutes, you don't know why you are learning what you are learning, then there is a serious problem. So everything is, we start with a business problem, then what method is needed to be solved, and that's how I solve. And I strongly feel that's how world should work. We should not try to force fit method into the problems. We should have a problem that we try to solve. So by taking that approach, we make sure the people who come with very little knowledge or almost no knowledge, they can also compete in that. And the follow-up courses actually build on keep applying that. So that will be my short answer to that.
Oh, I think you have described it beautifully, and that is not if there is a round peg in a square hole, you don't try to make the peg square. Rather, you find a hole which is round or something like that. So I think this was a very good insight, sir, and I'm sure the people who have spent their time listening to you, they have developed some new insights, and more important, they have developed the desire to work in this area, because I'm quite confident that the future still belongs to data, and it will continue to belong till such time, in the immediate future, or some other disruptive technology comes along. But till then, the data is king. There is no doubt about it. And as I initially said, the decision analytics is the refinery, and really speaking, this is where we are able to execute decisions, find out and affect the common man. You see, finally, it is about the impact on common man, and all these technologies are making our life and our world a better place. So I thank you very much, sir, for your very difficult topic, which you have been able to describe in such a way that I am sure the maximum participants are more curious and more desirous to learn. That is something which what a teacher has to do, and you have done it in a great manner, sir.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. With
thank,
the with all the help of what I get from ISB, I always enjoy. I spend 2-3 months in India every year, except this year, of course. I was there till February 22nd, actually, till very late. So I just skipped it. But thanks to ISB for giving me this platform. I always enjoyed. I work with several companies in India. I've tried to answer a lot of questions there. Ajit, you can always email me. I assume you're the same Ajit, which I'm thinking you are. And Shraddha, you can also write. I don't know about the recording link that Colonel Bhargav will say, Rashmi. I don't know about that.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
have answered a lot of questions in Q&A just in last few minutes, so you can get that as well. Okay.
Yeah, so two things I will say. Firstly, we are going to put this on YouTube and share the link with all people so that it is readily available to you. And secondly, as the professor has very kindly agreed, whatever questions are there, he will love to answer them by mail. And I must say that the questions have been very interesting, as much as the talk has been, even the questions, and it was aspects related to Sanskrit and others have been eye openers. So thank you very much. Yeah, yes, sir. You are saying something, professor. Yeah.
No, I was just saying this is the details here, so you can always write me. As I told, I have a weird first name, so just type it, my first and last name in Google, and you will find me. Okay, it's not too difficult.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Subodh. It has been a great evening, and we have learned a lot. Thank you so much
Thank you so much.
for your time.
Okay.
And a good morning to you.
Yes, thank you, and stay safe, everybody. Good night.
Okay, bye. Take care. Bye, participants.